because I wanted to talk about your workspace, your work environment, okay? Because more than ever, particularly right now, people are working from home, and that's great because particularly if you've still got a job, that's great news. Lots of people, unfortunately, are losing their jobs. But yeah, if you're working from home or even if you're working in the office, one of the things that I have observed I'd say over the last 15 years, to be honest, but it's definitely got worse in the last 10 years. There's less and less manual work in this day and age as more and more people working online. And the thing is, that isn't going to change. That's only going to get more prevalent. It's really important to know that. Everyone kind of knows that, but I think it's really important to have your mindset ready for it, because often, and if you look back at the last sort of 15 years, we haven't really been ready for the advancements in technology. We haven't really taken it into account, and the office environment in particular, it's one that's very conducive to back pain. It's conducive to not moving. Okay, and that means that you're burning less calories. That means that your core muscles, your glutes are not being activated correctly or enough. Okay, your glutes are just turning off. More and more people are getting back pain. There's more absenteeism. There's more sickness-derived time off from work than there has ever been before. And yet we're not moving anywhere near as we were once upon a time. So it really needs to be looked at. It's something that I'm really passionate about personally, is helping people think about the time when they're not in the gym and thinking about how they can upgrade the way they work. It's something that I've talked to quite a lot of my clients about. So I just want to sort of share today. So my little setup today is I am obviously working from my gym. My gym's closed, but I can still attend my gym. Hey Adam, hope you're good. And so my little setup is here. So you've got, let me just show you. So let me show you how to set up your workstation. Okay, my recommendation for setting up your workstation is to have the option to sit down, but try and predominantly stand up. Okay, now that's a big mindset shift for many people, because we get taught to sit down at schools, and then when we go into adulthood, we sit down. The problem is what's happening now is people are waking up in the morning, they'll sit down, they'll have breakfast, they'll drive, maybe sit down, they'll go in their car, sit down, they'll maybe drive to work, sit down. Even if they're working from home, they'll sit down. They'll maybe get up to cook or make some food, but what do they do in the evening? Sit down, watch TV. So we're spending vast amounts of time sitting down. So we need to think about how we can be more active in the day. So just going back to my little, this is where I am. So I am being rather creative. So one of the things about standing up, right? When you're standing up working, it's not as simple as a lot of people think. A lot of people think you just can plonk your computer or wherever you're working. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure, if you see my arm here, you need to have that elbow at roughly your belly button height. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're getting roughly a 90-degree angle at the elbow. Okay, so it took me about 3 goes to get this bench exactly where it needs to be. Now the reason for that also is so that I'm not basically looking down too much. Okay, we want to be able to keep ourselves pretty upright when we're working as well. Okay, the next thing as well is just standing with your feet. Like if I'm just standing with my shoes on all day, your feet get proper achy if you've never tried it. So I literally just stand on an exercise mat. Okay, number 2. Okay, I know this sounds really funny, But this is quite life-changing, actually. I started doing standing up work like 6 or 7 years ago now. And it's something that I'm always working on, because it's always a bit of a challenge. Just trying to find the right height and stuff like that. But also what really helps is to have like a stool or something. So I use like one of our boxes. So I will stand here. I have 1 foot there. And so basically, sorry about the camera angle, basically my leg is kind of here. This just enables me to, if I want to, I kind of like lean forwards, okay? But basically it just allows me to take a bit of pressure off my back. It also means by having this space here, I can kind of lift my legs up if I want to like have a bit of movement. Okay, you want to have that space, ideally. And that's where a lot of people go wrong when they're doing their stand-up work, is they don't have any space to move their legs. And ultimately, you can end up, if you're doing it wrong, you can end up doing more damage to your posture than even if you're just sitting down. So the other thing, what can you do when you're working? Well, the main thing to do is obviously take regular breaks. So I've got a little system going on at the moment today, which is why I sound a little bit out of breath. For the last 2 hours, I've got a little circuit. So I set my timer on my phone. I set a 20-minute timer. So every 20 minutes, rather than taking a break, which is what a lot of people tell you to do, you can do that. I think it's quite a good thing to do, is take a break. But I've got a little fitness circuit. Now, I'm not suggesting you can do this in the office, but if you're working from home, then, you can do what you want. So I'm doing 5 pull-ups, okay? I'm doing 10 dips, and I'm just doing 15 air squats. So really simple. I'm just doing 2 rounds, all right? So I've been doing that for the last couple of hours. What it does is it kind of keeps you focused. So this is one thing that a lot of people, I argue with people on, because they say that they can't get up from work. They'll say, when I'm working, I've got to just be sitting down for 6 hours. I proper argue that. The stats are clear. You cannot be productive if you're sitting down for 5-6 hours non-stop. Okay, there's no way anyone has got the attention span to just be bam, 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 bam with your work. Okay, if you're working in 20 or 30-minute spurts, okay, giving yourself regular 3 to 5 minute breaks, okay, and making those chunks of time when you are working really focused, okay, like hyper focused. So I've got a playlist I listen to. I've got a few playlists. If you go onto Spotify and you type in work, what I'll do, I'll share the one that I'm listening to at the moment. It's an electronic playlist, and it's absolutely awesome. But basically, you can set a timer or a playlist. I like to listen to like electronic music when I'm working. Just kind of gets me focused. But ultimately, the main point of this video I'd like people to take away is think about how you can be more active. Think about how many more breaks you can take. Have more of a structure to your day. So it might be, how often are you taking like a break just to have a sip of water? Being hydrated. What happens with a lot of people is they'll just work for like 2-3 hours, becoming more and more dehydrated. Their glutes, hamstrings are getting tight or being switched off. Their posture is getting worse and worse because they're maybe hunched over on a seat. Okay, so take a real strong look at what your workstation's like. Is there anywhere in your house or is there anywhere in your kitchen where you can create like what I have? I mean, look, this isn't a stand-up desk. But it's as good as. In my reception over here, I've got some stand-up converters. There's loads of ways that you can get your computer risen up. Okay, but listen, it's really the simplicity of it is just don't allow yourself to be sitting down for hours on end. It's going to ruin your shoulders. It's going to ruin your posture. You're going to find that you're going to get lower back problems as you get older. And a few years ago, there was a big study done on this. And, you probably heard the headlines when they said that sitting is the new smoking. And they predicted that the ramifications of sitting down over the last sort of 10, 20 years are going to end up being far worse than all of the deaths from smoking, because, they are linked to obesity, heart disease, back pain. So, that's all I wanted to check in with you today, guys. Maybe try it out for yourself. Set yourself a little timer. Maybe you don't want to do 20 minute spurts. Maybe you want to do 30-minute spurts. Have a system for it. So say, right, every 30 minutes, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. So it might be as simple as just like doing some arm rolls, doing some mobility work. It might be like 2 minutes mobility, herbal tea or a cup of tea, water, and then back to work. And then that's what you call focused work. Then you're not just trying to. Otherwise, all you're doing is you're just trying to like get through the day and just and it's like if you go for a run. If you go for a run, you're going to get tired after 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, you're going to slow down. Whereas if you do like interval training where you do 5 minutes really fast or even a few minutes fast, and then you give yourself a rest, you can go fast again because you're giving yourself that recovery. And your mind needs that recovery just the same way that your body does. Hope you found that helpful, guys. Hope you're having a good week, and I'll catch you soon.